Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss the latest masterclass from Lee Anderson into why Reform UK should never, ever allow him to talk to any journalist that is not firmly under control. You know a journalist has got a politician on the run when they have to fold their arms. And it wasn't even achieved with any great level of cunning. It was just a simple question of the sort mainstream journalists almost never ask of right-wing politicians for fear of losing their jobs. But first, for daily political commentary, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So we know about Trump's Project 2025, and if Americans don't know about it now, they're going to find out. But did you know that Reform UK have got their Project 2026? Now, I'm going to discuss this in more detail in a future video, maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, something like that. Depends what happens. But on the 7th of May 2026, voters go to the polls for elections to both the Scottish and Welsh Parliaments, and Reform UK want to come away with a big prize. And they stand a decent chance as well. Holyrood elections elect a sizable minority of members via proportional representation, and the Senate even more proportional, especially next time. Reform UK aim to return more members in both parliaments than the Conservatives. There's going to be a bit of a big old showdown there. Now, I'm going to discuss this, as I say, more in another video. But Lee Anderson for Reform UK, he was at a conference in Wales, because they're really pushing that, and he was being asked about Reform's plans for the NHS. It was painful. Now, I normally shield you from the pain. Some people say, why don't you show us the clips? Why don't you show us the clips? The clips in the description below. But on this occasion, I'm going to make you share my pain in a couple of clips. But when you're watching this, like, you instantly know that Anderson's out of his depth, right? Because his arms fold immediately.
The Welsh NHS waiting lists are hundreds of thousands of people, and you're going to change procurement and cut waste, and that, how long will that take to sort out those wait lists?
I don't know. Do you know?
He knows he's an idiot. Or if he doesn't know he's an idiot, he at least knows he's not in possession of basic facts to back up his party's policies. See, when he was in the Conservatives, the whips would hand him memos with little things to say. Oh, if they ask you this, this is what you say back. Little stats to throw into the mix as well. I'm guessing none of this happens with Reform UK. Apart from anything else, he is the whips. He's not just the chief whip. He's the entire whip team for his party now. So it's actually his job to send around the memos going, oh, if they ask you this, you say this. I'm not sure he's doing it. The journalist in question, Will Hayward, was talking about the waiting lists in Wales and how Reform UK had been talking about, oh, we're going to sort this out by tackling waste and inefficiency, which is just standard, isn't it? Everyone does that. You only have to watch a couple of episodes of Yes Minister to know, yeah, this is what politicians always do. Oh, how are you going to sort out public services? Oh, well, we could just spend more money. That means more taxes. People don't always like that. We'll cut out inefficiency and waste. Everyone does it. The question is, and there is such a thing as waste and inefficiency, sure. The question is, do you have a plan to do it? So, but he asked Anderson, first of all, because, you know, if you've worked this out, you will have a timeline. If it's all been worked out in detail, you would go, oh, well, because that's what the budget does. If you look at the budget we just had, year by year, it says, well, this is how much we're going to save this year and this year and this year, and this is how much we'll have to spend overall. So he asked Anderson, really simple question, how long will this take? And as Hayward was asking the question, Anderson didn't just have his arms folded. He moved his hand over his face. And his hand remained over his mouth as he answered, I don't know. Yeah, that's what he said. I don't know. I don't know. Do you know? What do you mean? Do you know? Why would a journalist know if the party making these policies doesn't know? It's like Anderson's trapped. I mean, we know his arms are folded. Your arms are defolded when you're defensive. It's really that simple. Your hands over your mouth when you're a bit worried about what you're about to say. I don't know all the deep stuff about it, but, you know, it is a sign. That is a bit of a sign that you're a bit worried about what you might say, isn't it? That's what it's supposed to be about. And it's just, you know, a confident person does not talk with their arms folded and a hand over the mouth. That's not how it works. And it's like he got trapped. He's thinking, think, man, think. What do I do? I'll ask him if he knows. Do you know how my party's going to make these unrealistic policies work? No, of course he bloody doesn't. Then Anderson tried to tell the journalist that he wasn't paying attention.
Listen, you're not paying attention, are you? You know, you're trying to catch me out. You're not paying attention. The NHS can be run much better It would be run much better with a reform government. Well, we know that for a
But
fact.
when you say run better,
Saying the Welsh NHS could be run much better, and it would be run much better with a reform government. We know that for a fact, he said. Do we? How do we know that for a fact? Because Reform UK's major selling point is they have never had government control of anything. So they've got no record to prove or disprove them. So that's why they can be all bells and whistles. They've never been in a position to show what they can do. Leanderthal struggled on. Cut the waste. I remember, that's right. We're supposed to cut the waste. Which waste? No answer. Of course not. He knows nothing. Use the private sector, he said. Timely reminder that Reform UK are very big on privatisation. Not something that too much the working class are in favour of. All these people from ordinary backgrounds. They think, oh, Reform UK, they're the party of the people. They want to privatise what's left of the NHS. He then said, you know, anything you can buy in the NHS can be bought cheaper, he said. Can it? So why does he think this then? Because whenever you find cases of procurement actually using more expensive than necessary options, it's always because mates and dodgy private companies are involved. We saw this writ large in 2020. And do you know what? When the procurement module of the COVID inquiry comes out next year, we're going to see a lot more of it, right? Paying well over the odds, even given that obviously prices went up during the pandemic, even given the prices at the time, we paid well over the odds for goods, some of which were not even fit for purpose. So we had to pay more for disposing of them or storing them, right? Just so that Tory mates could set up new companies. There were a lot of new companies set up in May 2020 that ended up getting public contracts, and where the controlling interest just so happened to be Tories, had no assets, and yet they won contracts worth hundreds of millions of pounds. But there's no benefit in a publicly run procurement going for expensive options without good reason. Like if someone's just paid a salary to procure things for the NHS, like they've got a choice. It's the same quality, same service, but one's more expensive than the other. They go for the cheaper one. Like it's their job to do that, and they get no benefit from going for the expensive one, right? But anyway, Anderson struggled on. He thought he'd made his point about saving money. I've done it. I've said we're going to save money. I've got him now, right? I've got him on the run. Even though he just described methods which will provably cost more money. So then his trump card, right, I've made my point that we're going to save money.
but that's going to reduce waiting lists.
Well, of course it is, because you can use that money to employ more people.
Right, so how much would you save?
I've no idea.
You can use the money saved to employ more people. Then he was asked, so how much money will you save? Oh, why did he ask that? I've no idea, he said. What? The hand back over the mouth. I've no idea. Oh, dear. I'm not even going to carry on. There's no need. And I find myself having to say once again, I actually hate picking on Anderson for being thick. I know it doesn't sound like it. I do it a lot, and I'm going to do it a lot more in the future, I'm thinking. But, you know, I do. I hate it. And you know why? It's because like when he was a Tory, Anderson was part of a party where a lot of people were privately educated and wealthy. And, you know, they weren't just far removed from the problems of ordinary people. All MPs are, right? They had never experienced these problems in their life. There are some MPs, they're fine now. Of course they're fine now. They're on MP's salary. But they've known in the past, like, some of them have known proper hardship. Some of them have not necessarily known real hardship, but they've known struggle, right? A lot of Tory MPs have never known this. So you sort of... But now it's worse. Because it's not just that Anderson is part of a party where a lot of people come from these privileged backgrounds. Every single other MP in his party is a bored multimillionaire born into privilege. But he's just so thick. He's unbelievably thick. Like, why not make something up? He was a big fan of Boris Johnson, wasn't he? You know, why didn't he spend any time observing him? Just how he just pivot and talk bollocks, like morph the world into something else. We're going to save a lot of money by cutting waste. Oh, so you got it all worked out in detail. How long will it take? Don't know. How much money will be saved? No idea. How are you going to save money? By privatising so we pay profit on top of everything else. Absolute moron. And what really irks me is that he is an in-your-face reminder that being useful often doesn't pay very well. And being incompetent can. Like when he was a miner, So I'm prepared to believe he did his job well enough. Can't imagine he'd have kept it if he didn't. So he did a job for which he was competent, and he was paid a pittance. It was also useful. He was doing a job that was useful to society. He was doing a good job at it, I assume. Paid next to nothing. He's known struggle. Now he's been paid for doing a couple of jobs, and he's absolutely dire at both of them. Cannot even waffle through some basic questions. I mean, that's stock and store for both a broadcaster and an MP, isn't it? You've got to be able to talk, and you've got to be able to like keep talking when people ask you a question. All this journalist, he just asked simple questions. He didn't come out with any obscure facts, figures, stats. It's just, you say you're going to cut waste. Where's this waste? How long is it going to take? How much money are you going to save? If you actually had a plan for it, it'd all be worked out. You'd be able to come... You'd at the very least be able to say, oh, I haven't got the figures just on the top of my head, but I'll look them up and I'll get back to you, right? You'd at least say that. No. And then the follow-up questions. You know, it was like, oh, I'm going to say this thing. Okay, I'm going to save money. How much money? Why did you ask that? And I said this at the time. If only all journalists would just routinely ask follow-up questions, stupidity at the ballot box could be significantly reduced. You know, it's the classic case of failing upwards with Lee Anderson. He got paid next to nothing for doing a job that he was probably competent for and that was useful. Now in later life, he does a couple of jobs that he's useless at. He's not even good at those jobs. It's not just like Nigel Farage is not crap at those jobs. He's good at doing the same jobs that Lee Anderson does. It's still harmful to society. So he still shouldn't be able to do them as he does. But he is at least competent. Lee Anderson's totally incompetent. And he's been paid a fortune for them. You know, and it's like, I mean, maybe he's doing us a favour. Maybe he's acting as a sort of barometer on meritocracy in Britain. Right now, the barometer reading seems to be wet and windy. Competent people paid poorly, raving idiots paid a fortune. Can you imagine if the country lost its mind one day? Any part of the country, in fact. And actually voted these chumps into government anywhere. Senate, Holyrood, Westminster. It would certainly be a lesson to the public, wouldn't it? Be a very pricey lesson, though, wouldn't it? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can join for memberships. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.